When the lines between life and death is crossed for profit, the spirit demands repayment in ways Jennifer never imagined. Hello my beautiful subscribers, what will you sacrifice for success? In Jennifer's case, let's see what she sacrificed. In the heart of an old town stood a small restaurant owned by a woman named Jennifer. Despite her best efforts, her business struggled to attract customers. Jennifer was a talented cook known for her delicious meals, but competition was fierce. The nearby restaurants always seemed to have full tables, while hers remained mostly empty. Her once beloved restaurant's taste of home was fading into irrelevance. The bills were piling up and her dream of owning a successful business was slipping through her fingers. Every morning she watched as other restaurants boomed with life, their tables filled with cheerful patrons. Jennifer felt the sting of failure. One evening, after another long day of barely any customers, she sat alone in her dimming light kitchen. The air was thick with the scent of spices, but it brought her no comfort. What am I doing wrong? She wondered aloud. Staring at the empty chairs, her husband, Hamza, was growing impatient with her lack of success, and the marriage was beginning to suffer. One night, while Jennifer was cleaning up, an old woman wandered into his restaurant. Her clothes were tattered, her eyes sharp, and her presence unsettling. "I hear you have good food, but no one comes to eat it," the old woman said, her voice like a whisper in the wind. Jennifer nodded, unsure of how to respond to the stranger. She wanted to send her away, but something about the old woman intrigued her. "I can help you," the old woman continued. "I know a way to make your food irresistible, but it comes with a price." Desperation, Jennifer leaned closer. Curiosity plagued. "What kind of help?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The old woman groaned, revealing crooked teeth. "You need a special ingredient, something most wouldn't dare to use: morgue water." Jennifer recoiled in shock. "Morgue water? You mean from dead bodies?" The old woman nodded. "Yes, it is said to carry an energy that binds the living to the food. People will come from miles away, unable to resist." Jennifer hesitated, her stomach crawling. The idea was horrifying, but the allure of success was tempting. Could she really go that far? The old woman seemed to sense her hesitation. "You don't have to decide now, but remember, desperation makes people do things they never imagined." That night, Jennifer wouldn't sleep. Her mind raced with thoughts of the old woman's offer. Was this the answer to saving her restaurant? Days passed, and the empty tables haunted her more than ever. Hamza was growing more distant, and she feared losing everything she had worked for. One evening, after closing the restaurant early due to lack of customers, Jennifer found herself walking toward the town morgue. Her heart pounded in her chest. She told herself she was just curious, that she wouldn't actually go through with it. But the closer she got, the more her desperation grew. The morgue water was eerily silent, the smell of formidable thick in the air. Jennifer stood at the entrance, trembling as if the weight of her decision was crushing her. She met the caretaker, an old man who barely looked up, when she asked for a small jar of morgue water. To her surprise, he didn't question her request. People come for strange things, he muttered, handing her the jar with a shrug. Whatever it is you are doing, be careful. With the jar in her hand, Jennifer turned to her restaurant. Her hands shook as she placed it on the counter, staring at the murky liquid inside. The next morning, she made her famous beef stew, but this time she added a few drops of the morgue water. The sign of it missing it with her ingredients made her feel nauseous. As she stared, double grind at her, but she pressed on, reminding herself that this was for the business, for her survival. That day, a couple of regular customers came in, but they were soon joined by new faces. By lunchtime, the restaurant was nearly full. Jennifer watched in awe as more people walked through the door, filling every seat. They ate with enthusiasm, praising her food like never before. "This is incredible," one woman exclaimed. "I've never tasted anything like it." Word spread quickly, and by the end of the week, Jennifer's restaurant was the most talked about spot in town. The rush of success was intoxicating. People lined up outside her door, eager to taste her food. Jennifer finally felt the joy of running a thriving business. Hamza, who had been distant, was suddenly proud of her, praising her turnaround. Their strained relationship began to heal. But as the days went by, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Her dreams were filled with images of the dead, their faces pale and lifeless. One night, while she was cleaning up, she heard a voice whisper her name. She spun around, but no one was there. The strange occurrence escalated. Plates fell off shelves of their own, and the lights flickers constantly. The atmosphere in the restaurant grew unnerving. Jennifer tried to ignore it, focusing on her success, but the feeling of unease wouldn't leave her. Something was wrong, and she knew it. One evening, as she was closing up, the old woman appeared again, standing in the doorway with the same unsettling grin. "How is business?" the old woman asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "It's better than ever," Jennifer replied, though her voice lacked conviction. The old woman stepped inside, her eyes scanning the restaurant. "I see the water work, but remember, there's always a price." Jennifer's heart sank. "What kind of price?" she asked, though she feared the answer. The old woman smiled. "The energy of the dead is not something you can use without consequences. It binds itself to the living. Your customers are now linked to the spirit you borrowed from." Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine. "What does that mean?" "They are drawn to your food because it is infused with death, but death will also follow them," the old woman said ambitiously. Panic struck through Jennifer. "No, I didn't know. I didn't mean for this to happen." The old woman shook her head. "It's too late. The spirits have been disturbed, and they will not rest until they take something in return." Over the next few days, strange things began happening to her customers. One man collapsed in the restaurant, complaining of chest pain. Another woman reported seeing visions of dead people after eating Jennifer's food. Soon, rumors spread through the town. People whispered that Jennifer's food was cursed, that it carried the essence of death. Her once thriving business began to falter as quickly as it had risen. People were afraid to come near her restaurant. Jennifer's guilt consumed her. She had wanted success, but not like this. She had no idea how to fix what she had unleashed. In a desperate attempt to reverse the course, Jennifer returned the morgue, seeking the caretaker who had given her the water. The old man was gone, and no one seemed to know who he was or if he had ever worked there. With no answers and her restaurant in ruin, Jennifer realized that she had made a terrible mistake. The price of her success had been too high. Her dreams were now filled with restless spirits, whispering her name, demanding repayment for what she had stolen. Jennifer stopped cooking altogether, her kitchen falling into disrepair. The once vibrant restaurant was now a hollow shell. One night, while lying awake, Jennifer heard the old woman's voice again. The dead never forget, Jennifer. The voice sent a chill through her bones. She knew there was no escaping what she had done. The dead would not be silenced. Jennifer's marriage, once on the mend, crumbled again. Hamza couldn't understand what had gone wrong, but the darkness in their lives was palpable. He started staying out late, avoiding the restaurant, and his wife, Jennifer, on the other hand, couldn't leave the place, bound to the consequences of her actions. Her dreams turned into nightmares. She saw the faces of her customers, pale and lifeless, just like the bodies in the morgue. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They followed her wherever she went, a constant reminder of her bargain with death. One evening, Jennifer saw a familiar face among the crowd of spirits in her dreams. It was the first customer who had collapsed. His eyes were hollow, his face contorted in pain. "You took something from us," he whispered, reaching out to her. "Now we will take from you." Jennifer woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. She knew she had to find a way to appease the spirit before it was too late. Despite she turned to local spiritualists and healers, hoping they could lift the curse. Jennifer visited several spiritualists, but none could offer her solution. Each one warned her that tampering with the dead came with consequences no ritual could undo. Once you call upon the dead, you invite their word into ours, one healer said, shaking her head. There's no simple way to send them back. Frustrated and terrified, Jennifer returned to her restaurant, now a ghost of its former self. The once bustling table sat empty, dust gathering where customers used to dine. One night, as Jennifer sat in her empty kitchen, the old woman appeared once again, her face twisted into a ill smile. "You look troubled," she said mockingly. "Step closer. Didn't you enjoy the success you asked for?" Jennifer's anger boiled over. "You tricked me. You didn't tell me the price could be this high." The old woman laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "I told you there would be a price. You were too desperate to care about the details." Jennifer clenched her fist. "I want to end this. How do I fix it?" The old woman's smile faded, replaced by a look of dark amusement. There's no fixing it, child. You can't undo death. It takes what it's own." Jennifer's heart sank. The weight of her action pressed heavily on her chest. "So what do I do now? You live with the consequences or you join them," the old woman said cryptically, before vanishing into the shadows. That night, Jennifer fell into a restless sleep, plagued by nightmares of the spirits demanding repayment. Their voice grew louder, their face more ghostly with each passing night. One spirit, the first customer who had collapsed, appeared again and again in her dreams. His hollow eyes feasted on her. "You took my life," he whispered. "Now I will take yours." The fear became unbearable. Jennifer started losing weight, her once vibrant energy drained by the constant torment. She stopped leaving her house together, isolating herself from the outside world. Hamza, unable to cope with the growing tension, finally left her for good. Alone in her now empty home, Jennifer spiraled deeper into despair. She knew the spirits wouldn't stop until they took what they were own. One evening, as she stared into the darkest corner of her kitchen, she heard the whisper again. This time they were louder, more insistent. "It's time," the voices whispered in unison. "You took from us, now we take from you." Jennifer knew what was coming. She could feel the ice grip of the spirits closing in, their presence growing stronger with each passing moment. Desperation, she grabbed the jar of morgue water, now sitting on a shelf untouched for weeks. She held it in her hand, trembling. "I will give it back," she whispered, though she knew it was too late. The spirits weren't interested in the water anymore. They wanted her. The lights flickered as the temperature in the room dropped. Jennifer could feel the cold breath of the dead on her neck. "Please," she begged, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," but the spirits were beyond reason. Their faces appeared in the shadow, pale and lifeless, their eyes burning with anger. "You disturb us," they hissed, their voices merging into one. "Now you must pay the price." The walls of the restaurant seemed to close in around her. The once warm and welcoming space now filled with the oppressive presence of death. Jennifer dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "I am sorry," she snubbed, but the spirits remained unmoved. As the room darkened, Jennifer felt a cold hand on her shoulder. She turned to see the spirit of the first customer, his face twisted in pain. "You took from us," he whispered, his hollow eyes locking onto hers. "Now we take from you." In the moment, Jennifer realized there was no escaping her fate. She had made a bargain with death, and now it had come to collect. The spirits closed in around her, their voices a cacophony of whispers and hisses. Jennifer felt herself slipping away, the weight of her guilt crushing her spirit. As the last of her strength faded, she heard the old woman's voice one final time. "The dead never forget, Jennifer, and neither will you." Jennifer's vision blurred, her body growing cold as the spirit consumed her. The last thing she saw was the familiar face of the old woman, watching her with an air smile. When the town people found Jennifer's body the next morning, the restaurant was dark, silent, and cold. No one knew what had happened, but the rumors spread quickly. Some said the restaurant was cursed, that Jennifer had dabbled in dark magic. Others whispered that the spirits of the dead had finally claimed their due. But one thing was certain: no one ever stepped foot inside the restaurant again.